welcome to the LoveAll Crafts rocket layering stencil tutorial video. A quick little video on how to use your stencil set and a few little tips and ideas of what you can do to lift your cards that little bit further. My name is Jenny. I am the co-owner of LoveAll Crafts with my mum Sue. We're a West Dorset based family business and we hope that you enjoy the stencil set as much as we do. So as with all of our stencil layering sets, you will get this guide along with the stencils, but this guide is basically what we're going to be doing in this video. It gives you the names of all the different layers and then just gives you a sort of picture step-by-step guide on how to use the stencils themselves, and then a little bit about using background masks, which we will do a different video on as well, just to highlight that, and then a few hints and tips that you can do along using the cards. So this layering stencil set is made up of 3 stencils. The main rocket is made of 3 stencils. Now, as with all of our stencils, the top left and the bottom right have little notches in them so you can line up your layers perfectly. So when you're doing anything with your stencils, make sure that the top left and the bottom right is where the notches are, because if you have it that way round, it might not layer up as perfectly. So have it that way, and then you know that your layers are going to perfectly layer up. These are, again, as I mentioned in the little booklet, so these are the different layers. So we have this one, which is the body, this one is the wings layer, and then for the tip of the rocket we have this layer. And then also to complete the kit, you have a background star stencil, which is just under 6x6. You also have this planet maker stencil. And then to help with the background making, you will also get the inner and outer masks. So this is the outer mask and this is the inner mask. So this is just a piece of white cardstock. It's nothing special, it's just standard white cardstock. I prefer doing my work onto a card stock first rather than an actual card base, because it allows you to have a play around with how you're actually going to build the card. And it also means if you want to do something like an accordion card or a gatefold or an easel card, it means that you're not using a card base to start with. So I prefer doing it this way, but if you feel like you want to go straight onto the card, you can do that, no problem. So we're going to start off with our first layer, which is the rocket body. I'm just going to push this down. So this is just a standard painter's frog tape, nothing special again. And what you do is you just mark up your corners. I'm going to do them a little bit darker than you should, just so they show up in the video, but this is generally just so you can line up each stencil that you do. So do it in a pencil, and then when you're done with it you can erase it and no one will be any the wiser that you've used them. So this is the body. I'm going to do this with a Dusty Concord Distress ink. Now these are just cheap cosmetic brushes, blending brushes. For those who wear makeup, I prefer using them for crafting. And I like these better than the foam pads, just because I think you get a better coverage and you have a little bit more control over where your ink goes. But it's completely up to you what you use. And of course you don't need to use inks. You could do this with pro markers or Copics, colouring pencils, watercolours. You could spritz, so you can use these with lots of different media. I'm just going to clean my brush off, and this is the beautiful thing about it also, is that you can just rub it on a piece of toweling and that cleans it up enough that you can use it again. So when you're removing your stencil, try and remove it from the bottom up, because that helps you to not smudge. We'll come in with the next layer. So I'm lining up my notches, but then I'm also just having a look to make sure that I'm happy with actually where I've stenciled previously, line it all up. And this one I'm going to do in a carved pumpkin. Joins there, and this top bit you could do in the same colour as the wings, which I was going to do, but I like changing my mind, so I'm actually going to do that one with a little bit of black soot, because a girl can change her mind halfway through a project. Let's clean that off. And again, peel up from the bottom and up. And then the last layer. So again, just line them up with my, and just make sure I'm happy by eye where I'd like to put them. And the tip is going to be Distress Ink Lucky Clover. So this belly band of the rocket is a great place for stamping sentiments if you want to put a sentiment onto your card. I'll show you some examples of that at the end. And there we have it. A space rocket beginnings. Now, as you can see, I've slightly went over my mask here in all of my brushing excitement, but that's fine. We can cover that up using the background mask. So I shall show you how to do that next. So using our mask, so the inner mask, and the inner mask is designed to go completely over your rocket and cover it over. You can hold these down with a little bit of tape, but you need to make sure that your ink is dry, because otherwise when you lift it up it will bring off some of the ink as well. I personally just like to hold mine down. It works just as well, I think. And then you have the background mask. So this is the background mask, stars and little dots. And the beauty of having the mask with this set is that you can do your stamping and then, or your stenciling even, and then you can just come back over with your background mask, and you don't have to worry about sort of just doing half of this. You can just quite happily have fun with it. So I'm going to use the Distress Oxide Weathered Wood, because it's a nice silver colour. I like using Distress inks, the oxide and the Distress inks, because I think you get good coverage. It's very easy to get a good coverage. The beauty of the Distress Oxides also is if you wanted to do this on a black card, the lighter colours would show up. So you could use a black card and then use this silvery grey over the top, and the silvery grey would look silvery grey on the black. So you can try using darker colours. So I'm just going round, covering in my galaxies and stars. And that rocket mask underneath is just protecting so I don't end up inking over the top of anything I shouldn't be. So when I lift it up, so you get lovely edges, so it looks like the rocket's ahead of the stars. So you also get this little planet maker stencil. So this is where we're going to hide my little boo-boo. So just for safety's sake, I'm going to put that back over the top. And this time I'm going to use the peacock feathers because I adore this colour, and it will be in every single video that I make, and it goes on every single card that I make because it's just a great colour. So I have my blue there. Take that off a card. And then I come back to my planet maker. And just to change things up, I'm going to use a dusty blue from Hero Arts. This is a nice deeper layer of blue. Almost like a petrol blue. And there we have a little planet covering up my whoopsie. I'm just going to wipe this off. And maybe we'll put another planet just here. So again, you don't have to put this mask down each time. I just do it because I'm relatively clumsy with everything. So coming back in with our peacock feathers. And when you're doing your planets, if you've got a little bit of old ink on there, it doesn't necessarily matter. It just gives you a little bit more of a 3D kind of view, so you almost don't have to clean it off each time. It's almost better if you don't, because then you get sort of nice streaks of different colours. And you can do your planets different colours. You don't have to have them all the same. And I think just for aesthetics. So obviously when you're doing your background, you'd want to erase that. That's not the best eraser in the world at all. So let's see if we can cover it. Obviously you'd do your pencil marks less heavily than I did mine, which is why that one's still showing up. But maybe we can be a little bit creative. There's never any mistakes in card making, just opportunities to change your direction on what you're doing. There we go, nearly got it. So there is a finished card on the actual cardstock itself. So now I can cut it up and use it on different cardstocks. So the other things that you can do is when you're doing your stars, you could use a glitter paste or a shimmer pen just to give that a bit of extra sparkle. You can stamp in the middle here, like I said earlier, the little sentiment steps, the little sentiment strips that lots of companies are doing nowadays would fit very nicely on here. I'll show you a few cards that my mum and I have made. So this is one that we've stamped straight onto the card itself with a little Simon Says stamp, "You Are Magic" on there. And the silver is actually done with a metallic ink, just a standard metallic ink to give it a little bit of sparkle. This is one that's done on holographic paper. So the rocket itself was fussy cutted and the planets were fussy cutted, and then we've popped it on a bit of holographic paper just for psychedelic fun. And you don't have to make standalone. So this is what I was saying about having it on a piece of card. You can do a easel card. So that's just a nice 3D easel card. And then something slightly different. So we used the planets and the stars more as a background and a little bit of extra inking, a Eurostar die cut. And then the rocket is on the bottom of the easel. And then we have a happy birthday to you. So this is a Simon Says stamp, little sentiment. It fits in quite nicely there. So you can use your stencils in lots of different ways. I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of a quick run on how to actually get your rocket down, and then you can have a play. So just going back to the other thing that you can do is you get this outer mask. So if you wanted to create a very quick background, you could ink in here and then just change your position and ink again. So you have lots of rockets overlapping each other on your background. So that creates quite good fun backgrounds as well. So that's basically it for the rocket stencil set. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been helpful for you. If you've got any questions that you'd like to ask, please feel free to drop them below or send us an email. Our email's at the end of this video. And also, if you do get the set and you make some lovely cards, we always love seeing what people create with our stencils, so please feel free to drop them below or send them in or share them on our Facebook group. We'd love to see them. So thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video.